Hello, and this video will help you clean up your paper and provide you with the expectations I have for your academic writing. This slideshow will also be linked to the assignment itself so that you can go back to it and look at it whenever you're editing your final paper, but I want you to know before you begin exactly what I will be looking for. So before you begin, some things that you should remember. This is a research paper. So that means you will not have any opinions. It will not say, I think, I believe, we want. Instead, you are going to be introducing ideas. You're going to be stating research that supports the idea and then analyzing your research. You will use no personal pronouns in your writing at all. So you will never say, I think, I believe, or you won't refer to you. Instead, you will just state the topic you are discussing, talk about the research that supports the topic, and analyze the research each time. That is the expectation. You should write your APA resources and internal citations as you go. So every time you use a quote or every time you paraphrase something, go ahead and insert the internal citation there. Don't think that you're going to remember what goes where in the end. You need to make sure that you're doing this as you go. You can always edit, you can always change it and move it to another location, but anytime you put a quote or a paraphrase, you want to put that citation next to it right away so that you don't forget later on. You should also make sure that every time you use an internal citation, you go ahead and list your resource at the end of your paper in your resources page. Finally, if you can head this off at the beginning, avoid the use of contractions and dead words in your writing. Dead words are words such as that, it, things, stuff, good, bad. It and things and stuff are absolutely inappropriate for you to be using. You should state what it is, you should state what the things are, and stuff is a terrible word. You can definitely find better qualifiers than good and bad. And the word that is a filler word. Many times you can just remove it and you don't even need it in your writing. So let's talk about how to edit your paper. Here are the steps that I'm going to go through whenever I am editing, whenever I am reading your paper. This is how I'm going to check it. I'm going to make sure that your resources and your citations match up. So that means every single citation that you have in your paper should be listed in your resources. And everything that you have listed in your resources should also be in your paper. I'm going to print your papers out and put check marks next to them. I'm going to be checking to make sure that they are there. Check to make sure the last name or the first word of the article title for each of your resource entries is there. Use APA format. Use the resources supplied in Module 1 or the ECU Writing Center if you need to. You want to check them all now. All the sources listed in your paper. If not, delete them. All the sources on the resource page, triple check that. Because if you don't have that correct, that means that you have plagiarized. Make sure that every citation has a page number if applicable. Do not repeat the author's name in the citation if it is already in the sentence. I'll have some examples of that later on. And you might find that it sounds awkward to have the author's name in the quote set, but it is okay to delete it there. Working a quote into your sentence, make it seamless. So when you quote directly from a source, you're going to enclose the quoted section in quotation marks and add an in-text citation at the end of the quote with the author name and page number. For example, mother-infant attachment has been a leading topic of developmental research since Bowlby found children raised in institutions were deficient in emotional and personality development. Note that the period goes after the parentheses with the 2023. Note that the author of the article, Bowlby, is listed in the introduction to the quote. And since this is a seamless writing, we did not need any commas there. But we do have all of the appropriate information. And I'm looking at this, I should see in my resources page, I should see a resource entry for Bowlby. It will start with Bowlby. That will be the first word that is in the resource entry. And it should say that it is in 2023. Now, sometimes you work the quote into your sentence, and you use the words like agrees, states, according to. So here is an example of that. Note that a page number was used, so that can also be listed if that's appropriate. Use the comma before the quote because you're introducing it that way. You've got the author there. This one should have a resources entry for Wordsworth and 2021. If you are adding or omitting words in your quotations for clarity, if you're adding words, then you make sure that you put them in brackets. And if you are omitting words, then you're going to use the ellipses, and you're going to do 3 of them. Here are 2 examples of exactly how to do that. If you're citing an indirect source, meaning a quote from within another paper that you have written. So Ravitch argues that high schools are pressured to act as social service centers, and they don't do that well. Quoted in Wiseman, 2013, page 259. So for this one, I'm going to have a entry in my resources for Wiseman, because this is a quote that is in Wiseman's paper. Vary how you include your citations. Vary your paper. So you can do some that are introduced. You can do some that just flow directly in. You can have words. You can have your author before it, after it. Here are 3 different ways you can do that. So take a look at it. Make sure that you vary the way you do this within your paper. Clean up your in-text citations at the end. So here are some things that you should definitely pay attention to. So go back and look at your paper. Did you mention an organization? If you do mention an organization like Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the first time you mention it, you spell it out and you put the acronym afterwards in parentheses. After that, after you've done that at least once, you can just put CDCP afterwards. Break up long paragraphs. You should not have one paragraph that covers an entire page. You need to break it up if the quotes don't match up or if the topic changes. Each paragraph should be about one topic, one aspect of your research. Make sure that you are sourcing your paraphrases. And if you do 2 paraphrases in a row, it's okay to just have 1 citation afterwards. Numbers. You're spelling out numbers under 10 unless it's a percentage or a statistic. You're going to use a percent symbol with numbers only. You will spell out the numeral and the word only if they begin the sentence. So if So if you're starting a sentence with the number 92, you do not use the number 92. You have to spell it out because it's the first word of the sentence. Have you checked your grammar usage? Use something like Grammarly to double check your work. Have you used capitalization, punctuation, and spelling? Have you diversified your sentence structure? Have you corrected any run-on sentences? Again, check for spelling. These are important aspects of your paper. They're just conventions. However, it can bring your grade down if you don't have this done correctly. Do you have your paper organized properly? Does it have an introduction and a conclusion? Do you have each paragraph is a different idea? Did you provide ICE, introduce, cite, explain for each of your quotes? Meaning you give 2 to 3 sentences explaining, analyzing, and justifying in order to transition to your next thought. Is there a balance between quotes and paraphrasing and your own voice? You should have 1 in each paragraph, meaning you should have 1 quote or a paraphrase in each paragraph supporting your topic. Because again, this is a research paper, it is not your opinion. So each paragraph should have some sort of research in it supporting the idea that you are expressing. Do you have your in-text citations in each paragraph? Did you synthesize ideas by continuing drawing connections between the thesis and the related ideas? Does the paper fulfill the goal of the thesis? Remember, every single paragraph that you write, every sentence that you write, every piece of research that you use needs to support your thesis in some way. It should all tie back together. Does your paper have a professional voice? If there's any slang, delete it. If you have any contractions, write them out. If you have personal pronouns, again, take them out. This is a factual research paper, no personal opinions. You're taking out any dead words, replacing them with specific words. These dead words are words such as that, it, things, a lot, this quote. Is your word choice varied and appropriate? Did you double check those resources? Triple check it. We talked about this already. Every resource should be an internal citation. Every internal citation should be on your resources page. All of your sources should be current, relevant, and credible. Nothing from Wikipedia. You should have a variety of sources: EDU, org, databases, published articles, books, journals. Are your in-text citations written properly? Go back and look at the information from Module 1 or go to the ECU Writing Center. Are your sources listed? Are all of your sources used in your paper? If they're not, then you should delete them. I'm going to go ahead and take this moment to say I do not want you to use AI. I'm going to say that again. I do not want you to use AI. If your paper turns up written as AI, it will be plagiarized. I do not want you to use AI. I want you to use your own words. I want you to use your own research. And I want you to edit the paper yourself using the steps that I just gave you in this video. If you have any questions as you're working, please email me. Take advantage of those opportunities to review your paper by emailing me and setting up a time to review. You can send me, if you do set up a time like that, then please send me a link to your paper ahead of time. Best is if it is on a Google document. Make sure that you set that so that anyone with the link can edit or can comment. This way I can put comments on your paper for you. And please reach out with any questions.